This reflection's taken from Luke chapter 13, verses 31 to 35, and we could perhaps call it The Fox and the Hen. The story is set with Jesus on his way to Jerusalem, and he knew that that was where he was going to die. And the passage starts with some Pharisees telling him or warning him to go away, go somewhere else, because Herod is trying to kill him. But Jesus says, I'm going to keep, in fact he says, go tell that fox that I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So it's a very definite stance that he's taking. But why does he call him a fox? Herod was a ruler put in charge by Rome. Now a fox is a very cruel animal when it comes to hunting for its prey. It'll do away with all your chooks in one night. Herod was a ruler who had no compassion for the Jewish people, and he was a godless ruler. He was actually a descendant of Esau, one of the twin sons of Isaac. And Esau, as the eldest son, would have been the one to take on the family responsibility when his father died. But one day Esau was very, very hungry, and he could smell this lovely stew that his brother had cooked up, and so he was willing to sell this birthright for a pot of stew. In other words, he was willing to give up his family responsibilities for his immediate needs, and he seemed to have no respect for the solemnity of that tradition of the firstborn. And so Herod was an ancestor of these Edomites, who were the enemies of Israel, and they were seen as godless people. Herod was seen as a godless and cruel ruler. In his reply to the Pharisees, Jesus says he will continue to cast out evil spirits and to heal people. In other words, he is continuing to do God's work. And that work is to set people free from the things that constrict them, bind them up, and to also bring healing into their lives. And so this was his work, establishing God's rule in people's lives. The Pharisees didn't like what Jesus was doing because he was, it just didn't fit nicely with their rules and regulations. They held power, and Jesus was gaining a lot of popularity, and they felt threatened that their grip on the power over the religious life of the people was going to slip out of their hands. In our last reflection, Jesus was confronted by the devil with great temptations, and the temptations were to use his divine power to meet his own needs. And this is what the Pharisees had begun to do. They had really begun to use their position to meet their own needs and not what God wanted of them. Their warning about Herod was probably just a way of getting Jesus out of the way rather than being concerned for his safety. Jesus stated he's going to continue to doing what he came to do. He would do it in Jerusalem, and he said, for surely no prophet can die outside Jerusalem. This shows that he knew his continued ministry would lead to his death, and that it would be in Jerusalem. But he also knew that his death and his resurrection was actually a vital part of the ministry of bringing people back into God's domain, into God's kingdom. This is where the hen comes into the story. Jesus lamented over Jerusalem, saying, how often I've longed to gather you, your children, together as a hen gathers the chicks under her wings. In contrast to the power-hungry Herod and to the controlling, self-satisfied Pharisees, Jesus looked at the city with tender compassion. The picture of a hen gathering her chicks under her wing is a lovely, protective and caring picture. But this lament is because Jerusalem is doomed. Now, Jerusalem was the city of God. Deuteronomy 12:5 says this of Jerusalem, the place the Lord your God will choose out of all the tribes as his habitation to put his name there. So that was God's chosen place. And that's where eventually the king lived, that's where the temple was built, and the temple, of course, was the dwelling place of God amongst his people. And yet Jesus is lamenting over Jerusalem, saying this, you kill the prophets and you stone those sent to you. The very place where God should be honoured was the very place where he was constantly rejected. And because of this, Jesus says, your house will be desolate. And it was so. In 70 AD, the Romans came, they burned the temple to the ground, and they just completely destroyed the city of Jerusalem to rubble. Jerusalem had chosen its own fate by its rejection of Jesus. What the passage says to us is we're involved in bringing God's kingdom into the lives of people around us. We are to tell them of their need to repent of the lifestyle, a lifestyle that's lived the way they think it should be lived and not lived for God. We're to offer his healing. We're to enable people to be set free from the things that really hold them back, from the effects of evil spirits. Jesus had no fear of human authorities that might have challenged him, and he's asking us to be the same. I guess the most frightening thing is that we might be like the city of Jerusalem and actually oppose God, thinking we're right in all that we do, and anything that doesn't fit with our ideas just can't be of God. To stand against God, of course, is to choose the same consequences as Jerusalem suffered. Be bold, be brave, for the Lord your God is with you.
Be bold, be strong, for the Lord thy God is with thee. Be bold, be strong, for the Lord thy God is with thee. I am not afraid, I am not dismayed, because I'm walking in faith and victory, because I'm walking in faith and victory, for the Lord thy God is with thee. Be bold, be strong, for the Lord thy God is with thee. Be bold, be strong, for the Lord thy God is with thee. I am not afraid, I am not dismayed, because I'm walking in faith and victory, because I'm walking